Hey, yo, what up? I am building a newsletter business, and I'm going to give you weekly updates, even if it shits the bed. We're on week 2, so let's talk about what went down. Okay, so I built my newsletter list, my list of subscribers by selling this seasoning. I go into it and how I did this in several other videos. To make a long story short, the thing that really helped this was a free plus shipping offer. So when I first launched this, I was like, hey, get this seasoning for free, just pay shipping and handling. And at the time, the bottle size I was buying cost $3. The shipping and handling was $9.95. You can see the profit there, but the profit wasn't to get rich. The profit was to build a list of email subscribers that paid for themselves and also gave me enough money to do the newsletter venture. So here we are. That's what I did. But also one of the reasons I love selling, I just love selling physical shit, period. I always like selling physical products. But the thing I like about it for the newsletter stuff is the data I get back. So the data being the name, phone number, a physical address, and a real email. Some people will give you bullshit emails, right? And so if you buy something and you're looking to track it, you're going to have that email go to an email that you check. And so I like selling physical stuff that people like because then it gives me good data, which helps for the newsletter, right? Getting good emails. And then also, this is all a hypothesis, but if you buy something from me, I sell this on Shopify, then that means that my domain automatically emails you stuff. It emails you a purchase confirmation. It emails you the tracking updates, all that. And then people will start opening those. My hypothesis is when it comes to ESPs, email service providers, you have Google, Yahoo, whatever else. The biggest thing they care about is behavior. Behavior meaning, do people want your emails? How do they know people want your emails? Well, people open them and start reading them. And if people open your emails and they're reading them, then you have more of a chance to get in their primary inbox. So my hypothesis is that my thought here is that if I'm selling something physical and you're getting email updates from my domain and you're opening it, that's already training Google or telling Google or whoever else the email provider is that this person likes emails from this domain. Even though it's just about a physical product, they're opening the emails from this domain. Now, when I start sliding in like newsletters or weekly updates, that domain has, the ESP has seen that my domain is desirable and it gives me more of a chance to get in their primary inbox, even if it's not a tracking update or even if it's just an email about a newsletter. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down here. But that's one of the reasons I like physical products, and that's my hypothesis behind warming it up with warming ESPs up. Something else I did too to continue to warm up stuff or warm up the ESPs, email service providers, is I would, for a while there, I just sent weekly emails. And that weekly email, it wasn't a newsletter, it was just like a story and then a recipe, and then I sent them back to my website. So the story, I would go to Today I Learned or Today I Fucked Up or Life Pro Tips or whatever, and it would be a story or a tip or something, whatever it was put in a story form in the voice of the avatar that I'm speaking to. I would write in their voice, and it would be something interesting. And how did I know it was interesting? This is something I talked about in the very first video. One of the things that's helped me is I always leverage what works. So I don't think about I don't make up some random story about just what happened in my life. I will go through these forums and I'll rank it by what's the top, or what's the top this month, what's the top this year, what's the top all time, and I will just look for stuff. And when I find a story or something interesting in one of these forums that I think would resonate with my audience, I then take the essence of that and make it mine. And now I have something that I know has already worked. People have already shown interest in this thing. Let me put my spin on it, and then I send them a recipe. So now I'm giving them engaging content. The people on my newsletter, I'm sending them a recipe, but what they are really buying is entertainment. What they are really buying is emotions. That's what I'm really selling. So that's what I try to create. What's the whole point of me telling you this? For a while there, I would just send them a recipe, right? One of these recipes that had a story above it. And they would open it, read it, and go back to my website. Now, what am I doing? It goes back to what I was saying. If you take nothing else away from this video this week, there's two things here. One is to create trust. I felt like it was very important to create trust, because I want to give people something they like. And then by doing that, it takes care of everything else. It trains the ESP that, hey, people like this, keep sending them through. In my world, the world I'm in, I get around a lot of marketers. They want to sell, 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 sell. They'll give you bullshit stuff that they wouldn't even buy, and they'll just sell, sell. And that causes problems in the long run. If I could find something that people like, it makes everything else easier. So creating trust with your readers, how do you do that? Well, you give them stuff they like. That's one. And then two, leverage what's already working. Those are the two things that the most important things for me to be cognizant of. So anyways, now I did that for a while, right? And then eventually I transferred them over to Beehive, the newsletter. But how do I know that I was creating trust? I knew I created trust with my readers because they would email back to me. But from a technical standpoint, this is Google Postmaster Tools. This gives you your domain reputation. This is your email domain reputation. If you see down here, it's bad, you see low, you see medium, and you see high. And so for a bald buck, let's say the last 120 days, I'm not bad, I'm not low, I'm not medium. There's just it's not thick, but a thin blue line up here at high. And you can see down here, high, high, high. I have a high domain reputation because, in my opinion, I sent you a physical product and you were opening those. Then I sent you a weekly email for a while where it just gave you a story and a recipe and sent you back to my site. I didn't hard sell anything. People would go back to my site and rebuy the seasoning by default, but I didn't sell. So giving them an email weekly that they like to read, as well as a recipe, then strengthens my domain reputation. And that's important because that helps me get in their primary inbox for what we're doing right now, which is the newsletter. So speaking of the newsletter, let's talk about that. All right, so I sent the newsletter out Sunday, and when I send it out, there were crickets. So I was sick. I was sick as shit Sunday. Laying in my bed, finally able to get up my phone, glance at it, and I see that there's no emails, no responses. Now, usually when I send an email out on a Sunday, I would get some response, like even if it was an auto reply saying, hey, I'm not in the office or something, I would get something. When I sent it out, it was crickets, and I got worried. And let me tell you why I got worried. And this is where it kind of gets nerdy, but bear with me here. And so I was sending out these weekly emails on an email service provider called Campaigner. So you have email service providers like Google and Yahoo. Those are more for personal. Then you have email service providers who help you send out mass emails. This is your MailChimps, your Beehives, your Substacks, things like that. I was working with one called Campaign Monitor, where we were sending our emails out, our weekly emails. And so this is what happens. You have my domain coming from Campaign Monitor going to people's inbox and people opening it. So the Google or Yahoo sees, hey, this domain from this ESP, people like. I changed it up. Now I went to Beehive and I'm sending my emails. It's my domain, but from Beehive. Now my domain still has good reputation, but now it's coming from Beehive, and Google or Yahoo may not know what to think about that because I've kind of changed the game. I changed the equation. So my fear was, since it wasn't coming from Campaign Monitor anymore, and since it was coming from Beehive, that I was going into their promotions, their spam, their updates, whatever it might be. So I go back to Campaign Monitor. Once my email goes out to Beehive and I don't see anything happening, I'm like, oh shit, maybe I'm going into spam. I go back to Campaign Monitor and I craft this quick email saying, I need your help. I basically, in this email, asked them to go look for this chicken and dumplings email, make sure it wasn't in there, find it and open it. So that's all, and then reply back that they got it, right? And so that's what I did. And let me show you what happens. I got to show you all these replies. So yeah, I told them, hey, please go and find this email, open it, and reply back, got it. But I'm trying to train the ESP that, hey, people are opening my stuff and they're actually replying back that they like me. And then you see all these replies. Like all these people went and opened it. Let's see another page. Same thing. All these people did it, which was really cool. I was surprised when they all did this. And the reason they did that and they were so responsive is because I have been emailing them for a while. And all I've been doing is giving them good content and then giving them a recipe. And so I haven't asked for anything. And so then now when I go and ask them to do something, they were responsive. Why were they responsive? It goes back to the fact that I had built trust with them. Now, what's happening? Now, Google sees that, hey, this domain that we already like is with a new person, a new provider, Beehive, but people are still opening it. Matter of fact, people are still opening it like crazy. And so I kind of like forced it, right? And I was able to force it because I had built up trust with the audience prior to doing this. And so then what does that mean for Beehive? Well, you go here and you see that I got this 48% open rate and this click-through rate of 7 or more. I mean, up to 8% if you round it up, right? But 48% open rate and 8% click-through rate. To give you context, I mean, if you're getting 30% nowadays, it's not bad at all. Like 30% open rate's not bad. And then a click-through rate above 4%, that's not bad either. So I don't think the stats will always be this strong. But they were that strong because I was like, hey, I need you guys to help me and train Google to like my stuff that's coming from Beehive. So this is a good start. Long story short, this is a good start. I don't think the stats will be like this every time, but we'll take it for an initial run. Something else that I found interesting here, let me show you. So if you go to the performance, and so I send the email goes out and you see all the stats here. Check out the link clicks. Yeah, the link clicks. So I had like 16 links if you include the recipe link, but 15 links about all these articles and all this stuff. Go back to week 1, you'll see what the email looked like. But everybody clicked on the recipe. Nobody really clicked on the rest of this shit. So I'm not just a recipe blog. They open, or as recipe email, they open it, like they can get recipes from anybody, right? The reason why they open mine is because there's a personal connection that's been developed there. But for this thing to then monetize and do well financially, which is the goal, we need them to be clicking on other things. So what did I learn from this past week? Well, I learned that they didn't like any of this shit. All those 15 articles I spent time going through Reddit and researching and summarizing and all that, they didn't really care for that shit. So then, okay, I had to step back and ask myself, what do you think is going on here? What I think is going on is that I'm sending them news and stuff that they've already heard. Like, my demographic is retired. They're at the crib chilling. They're watching news all day, every day, at least most of them. And here I am giving them a weekly newsletter summary of news topics and entertainment topics and things like that they might have heard on Monday or Tuesday. It just, for whatever reason, it's just not that interesting, and it's evident through the link clicks. So I took a step back and reconsidered how I was going to do this. Let me show you what I decided to do. So I figured I want to give them something that they would not have seen that week unless they were really searching. And most people are, all of us are lazy. We like things delivered to us, figuratively and literally, like things delivered to us because we don't want to do the work. And so I said, again, let me get out of the news game in the entertainment and technology, all the article stuff, and let me find some stuff that they would not find unless they looked up. So I used ChatGPT, and I was like, hey, basically told it to act like an expert in finding stuff that traditional media channels wouldn't talk about, or finding some alternative media channels that people don't really know about for the demographic that I'm serving. And I went into detail about what I'm trying to do, and then it did its thinking, and it gave me all these different media channels. And I also asked it to give me some subreddits that would be fitting for my demographic that they would probably not be familiar with and have news that they wouldn't know about. And I did the same question. I asked it to Perplexity, which is another AI model, and Gemini, Google's AI model. And I looked for commonalities. And I just read through that. Then once I got those commonalities, what I want to do? Well, back to the principle of leveraging what already works. There's something called BuzzSumo. It costs money, but what it does is it lets you know, like if you go to put a website in, it lets you know how it's doing socially, like what articles popped off socially. So for one of the channels one of the websites I decided to research, I used BuzzSumo. I found this article, did a summary of this article. It's already worked. Let me use this one. This is about travel. Another thing I did was something called SEMrush, or I call it SEMrush. I'm not sure what you call this, but you can see the traffic on people's sites and what's going on. There was another site right here, nextavenue.org. I went to the top traffic, went to their top pages through traffic analytics. I found their top articles here in January, and I used one of them because, hey, it's already working. And then the thing that I think most people should do is just go to Reddit. You could just ask ChatGPT to find, subreddits that have good news that people really probably are not that familiar with. And it gave me one of these things called, it gave me a lot of them. I use Obscure Media. I have an older demographic, so they're going to love this vintage type stuff, right? It's going to give them some nostalgia. I found this, and I was like, hey, and it's in line with who I'm serving. So I was like, let me try this. It's 3 different approaches. These topics are like 3 different topics or whatever, but I'm putting it in here. And here's my hypothesis. Let me show you the new post this week. So same thing. I have a story which was inspired by Reddit. I have a story here. And then instead of having 15 articles and all this stuff and all these categories, you would see it if you went back to the week 1 video, all the different categories, this, that, and the other. I just have 3 articles and then the recipe. My hypothesis is here is that less is going to be more. So instead of 15 links and then having all these clicks spread out, I'll just have 3 links, which will then ideally give me more clicks. And the more clicks I get will tell me, if they click on this affairs article more, that'll let me know kind of what they're leaning towards. If I get more about this nostalgia stuff, that'll tell me more about what they're leaning towards. If I get some stuff about travel here, that'll tell me that as well. I'm trying to figure out what they want more of. And so I'm testing right now. And I believe that less is more. And these are things that they probably did not hear anywhere this week. So that is what I am doing with that. And then the next big thing I did was this. Let me show you. I'm trying to monetize this thing, right? And so I went to the Beehive thing here. Went to monetize I went here to monetize, and I had to connect my Stripe account or something, and then connected it. And then I got a ad offer, which is cool. So you can see the pending ad offer down here. I looked at it and I was like, I don't know about these cats. It's something about weekly news. They're going to give me $1.60 CPC. So I get paid $1.60 for each person who clicks it. And it's saying, here, if I had a 1% click-through rate, I would get $67. Let's say it was at 2%, I'd get $132. And then I have this offer available through the 28th, and I could choose how I want it to be on my newsletter. I'm trying to get the money. This might be normal or whatever, and most people might take this, but something in my gut says if I'm going to put some kind of partnership on my newsletter, then it's got to be worth it. It's got to be worth it for my subscribers or who are reading this, and then I gotta and it's got to be worth it for me. It's got to be some kind of financial payout. And so, $1.60. Again, I'm new to this part of it. So this might be good, but I don't know how strong my audience is going to resonate with this. And I don't know if getting paid a potential of 60 something bucks is worth harming my reputation that I built with my audience. It's got to be something I think that would resonate with them. And then there's got to be a bigger payout. And that's my opinion. But again, I'm new, several weeks into this, I might be like, shit, I'll take this. Depending on the monetization options. I don't know yet, but something in my gut told me not to pull the trigger on this one. So I did some research on other ways to monetize a newsletter as opposed to sit here and wait for them to give me offers, which is good. Beehive is cool because they are pretty proactive with helping you monetize your newsletter. But I don't want to just wait. And so I did research again using ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini to find some third-party solutions to help monetize newsletters. I landed on something called Paved, which I'm in the review. I did the whole thing, and I'm in review for them. And something else called Hecto, which I did all this, and I'm in review. And I've emailed them hey, what's up? Same thing here. I emailed them hey, what's up? Because I did this midweek. But I'm just trying third-party solutions to give me more options to monetize this newsletter using things that probably ideally have bigger payouts and are more fit for my demographic. So that's what I have for this week. I'll come back next week and show you what went down. And I am interested in your thoughts on what you see, what you would do different. Are you even trying to do this yourself? If you're doing this right now too, I want your feedback on some things that are working or not working for you. So let me know what you think. I would appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. Peace.